Hey everybody! Welcome to Let's Look at Wargame Airland Battle. This is basically the most literally correct titled game I've played since Super Puzzle Platformer Deluxe. This is literally a war game. It takes place after World War II, so in the Cold War era, in a Warsaw Pact versus NATO-style conflict. So, you know, the Soviets essentially, and Eastern Europe against Western Europe and the Americas, or America, I guess. I don't know how South America shook out in that, because I don't know Cold War history that well. In any case, this is a new game that's available on Steam. It's an RTS, but it also has kind of different elements associated with it that I'll get into as we get into the solo play here. But suffice it to say, this is not necessarily like a StarCraft where, you know, the campaign is structured as a series of missions. You beat the mission, it takes 15 minutes to a half hour, and then you move on to the next mission. This is structured, if we go into solo play here, because I would get my ass kicked in multiplayer, it's structured... I'm just going to get... I'll read this briefing in a second. But it's structured as like a series of campaigns, basically. So in our first campaign here, basically we can see our goal. We're playing as the Warsaw Pact, and we want to seize Aarhus in less than 5 days. This is our only objective for this game. So we have 5 days, and that could contain, you know, anywhere from 1 to 8 battles that we can actually have. So you kind of have your own... freedom, I hesitate to say, but you do kind of have your own freedom or flexibility in designing how you want this mission to go down. So, you know, in most real-time strategy games, it's like, oh, we airdropped you in here, now you got to accomplish this. In Wargame Airland Battle, your goal is to kind of design your own mission, almost, or how you want to approach it at least, and then follow through with it. It's not as free as I've kind of made it out to be, but you'll see it as we get started here. So this is our... the first basic objective that we're going to have here. So this is kind of a tutorial mission. It's set as easy. The balance of power is in our favor as the Warsaw Pact on this mission, but that changes depending on what kind of campaign you're doing. So let's see what's going on here. So this is our interface for this kind of like first meta game of Wargame Airland Battle. By the way, I'm garbage at this game. I've played about 5 or 6 hours. I'm really bad still. This is a game that you're going to have to invest a lot of time in order to understand what's going on, unless you're familiar, I guess, with the earlier Wargame, European Escalation, I believe. So, you know, we control this territory right here, and they said our objective for today is to push the Swedish, push the, they are Swedish, push the Swedish out of Malmo, and back towards Copenhagen. So that's what we're going to try to do. This should be basically our first mission here. So I'm just going to select my tank and have it move forward here. I really like this interface, by the way, how it looks like kind of clean and like 80s computer interface, like you might see from a movie. Like if you saw this in a 1980s movie, this would be their depiction of what like the future of computing would look like. It kind of looks like the kind of thing that could be like on the background, like huge jumbotron of like a NORAD or NATO facility. Anyway, we're going to send orders. Our tanks are going to move in here, and we're going to have our first battle, which will probably take roughly 20 minutes, to be honest with you. But let's talk about what's going on here. We are the Warsaw Pact, as mentioned, and we're up against the Swedish here. The way that the game works as we choose to launch our battle is that it's not necessarily like destroy certain objective, destroy X, destroy Y. It's more just get X number of points and you win. And you get these points by destroying enemy units. So I think it's supposed to simulate you kind of like eroding their confidence or their ability to wage war. So on this mission, we have a huge advantage over NATO in that we only need 1,500 points to succeed, whereas they need 3,000, which is going to be a tall ask for them. But at the same time, I've lost this mission many times. I actually won it once, but you're not going to believe this, but my cat disabled my Fraps recording halfway through. So I'm doing this again, which hopefully means I'll have a good chance for success. So, the AI controls Halmstad and Copenhagen, and what we're going to want to do is destroy enough enemy units, destroy their ability to wage war so that they kind of retreat. And that'll be the end of our mission for the first day. And we'll probably only do one kind of battle over the course of this video, because they do tend to take, as you can see here, 20 minutes. We haven't even started the battle yet, by the way. So, before we get started, we can choose how we want to structure our army, and this, I think, is going to be a major selling point of Wargame Airland Battle, is it is historically accurate, both admirably and to a fault. So by admirably, I mean, you know, we're playing as the Soviets. We have a wide variety of Soviet units here that, as far as I know, are accurate and, you know, intimately detailed. You can see the kind of guns they have there, how their stats stack up and everything like that, the armor that they have on each side of their tank. More in detail than probably any real-time strategy game I can remember playing in my entire life. That's not to say that I play a lot of them, but anyway, take that as you will. And, you know, if we're playing as the Swedish, we would have access to the Swedish regiment, which would have entirely different units, unless, you know, some of those units were shared between NATO forces and the rest of the Swedes. Anyway, you know, eventually we'll see like a German, or an East German, I should say, regiment, and we'll have totally different units. So it's not like, this is a tank, this is a plane, this is a helicopter. It's like, you choose what you want, and Olm's been playing this a lot, and he tells me there's a rock, paper, scissors mechanic, so you definitely want to like pay attention to these units. That being said, I don't really. First thing we're going to do, we have a forward operating base here. So I'm going to spawn in a number of units using these points, these production points that we have up here. So I'm going to create a number of airplanes, and we're going to use these to probably get most of our kills. Having air superiority is going to be really important. And these guys are just going to operate from this forward operating base here. So we need to control this zone. If we don't control this zone, then our airplanes will not be able to fly, and that will be a real problem for us moving forwards. Now, what other units do we want? I'm going to create some anti-air units, which are going to be really important for us. So why don't we create some of these guys right here? Because basically there's going to be a lot of enemy aircraft as well, which are going to be a total pain in the dick. So we'll create 2 anti-air units here, and we'll kind of put them right there for now and move them around later. We should create some tanks, so I'm going to create some T-72Bs. I don't know if these are good or what, but this is what we're going to have. And I'm not going to have too many units here, which is unfortunate. But I'm also going to give myself some recon. I'm going to give myself a Mi-2 helicopter and maybe a vehicle as well. So these guys are basically just going to be my vision, which will allow me to actually get vision on the enemy and then send my planes out on sorties to, shoot down the enemy fighters or, blow up their objectives. And we should probably get some infantry as well. So why don't we create like some kind of mobile forces here? And maybe we'll create like a panzer unit as well. We don't have a whole lot of units here. I've put a lot of my eggs in the basket of beating them in the air, which is an admirable way to do things, I guess, but also potentially super risky. Why don't we create a military helicopter as well? So we're at 0 points. That was unintentionally fairly well optimized. Now, I'm pretty bad at what I do in this game. So what I'm going to do is largely just kind of blob up my units. This is not the right way to do things by any stretch of the imagination, but we're going to expand and try to take out some territory quickly. Oh, no, okay, don't leave yet. You need to go back here. The way we capture territory is by having this unit here. So if I can keep him next to the forward operating base, that would be excellent. But I don't necessarily know if we're going to be able to do... Okay, we can already see a number of enemy units, which scares the shit out of me. So, first things first, let's get some airplanes out here and try to shoot down these APCs that are coming in. I have never seen the computer be this aggressive right off the bat. That scares the shit out of me. And probably deservedly so. So we're sending out a number of planes. I don't know, sometimes they just choose to evacuate. Maybe, like, missiles are on them, so they're trying to, like, stay away from them. But yes, I've never seen enemy units be this aggressive right off the bat, which is crazy. But hopefully we'll start amassing some points here. As we kill enemy units, we will get more and more points. These points will eventually allow us to get enough to hopefully win the battle and rout the enemy and cause them to lose some morale and improve our chances of success in the future. So it's kind of neat that the computer does things differently every single time. Oh, this is a panzer unit, which scares the shit out of me, actually. Hopefully we'll be able to destroy them. Yeah, it looks like they're dying pretty quickly here. One more. One more. You can do it. I have faith. Actually, I'm going to try to take out this missile barrage here as well. There we go. Okay, so we've already started with a bang here. We already have 260 points, which is going to put us like 1/7 of the way to victory, roughly. It's okay. Let's see if we manage to land some shots with our cluster bombs here. Come on. Our plane might actually get shot down. Oh, I did manage to destroy almost all of the anti-air there. And we didn't lose any units, which is great. So let's take this guy again and see if we can drop another series of cluster bombs on these dudes. This guy needs fuel. So, as we're kind of getting engaged in these fights here, I do want to point out that I really enjoy the game, or we enjoy the way the game looks from like a visual standpoint. Again, I like this kind of like 80s aesthetic. Everything just looks really clean, and really easy to see what's going on. And plus, if you're like fighting in the air, it doesn't really matter that much because you can't get that close to see the detail. But if you get really up close with what's going on the ground, it looks pretty good. Like it's not blowing me away or anything, except to say that, on a game with this kind of sense of scale, I really appreciate that, it makes the effort to make the game look pretty nice. Let's use our recon helicopter to try to get some more vision, and once the cooldown is off on our airplanes, we might be able to get some more attacks in here. So we'll see if maybe we can shoot down this anti-air unit. But I probably should not be putting up my helicopter against a surface-to-air missile launcher at the same time. If this ends up working, that's awesome. Oh, our recon helicopter managed to avoid getting hit, which is excellent. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. There we go, we've blown it up. All right, so we have some artillery over here as well. And you know what? I kind of want to send my military helicopter over there to get it, but instead what I'm going to do is kind of bait them out here. I'm going to send one airplane over and use this to attack them, and then they'll probably scramble fighter jets. And as soon as their fighter jets scramble, they're worth a ton of points. So I'm going to scramble all of my fighter jets and try to shoot theirs down. And there's probably a bunch of anti-air over here, so I hope that I don't accidentally get myself killed. There we go. He dropped the cluster bombs. It didn't do what I wanted it to do, but that's okay. We got more planes here that we can send in to try to take out this artillery. And once this artillery is taken out, we may actually move to try to get into this like really heavily fortified area here where we can probably earn ourselves a lot of points. By the way, as time goes on, I'll explain this after we fire the missiles here. Come on. Better. Yeah, there we go. We got 85 points for killing that one. You know what? I'm actually going to send one more out to get him here. He's been routed, but at the same time, I want the points if possible. Or maybe we can't attack him with these airplanes? Oh, we can attack him with this one. Okay. So we're doing really well so far. This is by far the best I've ever done on a mission. But keep in mind that this is a slow real-time strategy game. Tanks move slowly. Airplanes move pretty darn quick, as you can tell. But at the same time, you know, these 20-minute missions, they go by fast simply because everything moves pretty slowly. There we go. We got another 85 points. We have not lost any points, by the way, which is amazing. So, as time goes on, we will earn more points in our production menu. I believe that's from capturing territory, which I don't fully understand, even after 5 or 6 hours, because I can't beat the tutorial that allows me to learn about it, which is a complaint I have. But anyway, let's get 2 of these new planes here. Oh, I can't. Okay, I can only get 1. That's fine. We're going to move our helicopter in a little bit closer to hopefully get some more vision on the enemy here. And we're going to move all of our forces over here as well. Okay, I actually am being attacked, I think, by something. But where? We can't see. This is why these recon units are important. This is definitely not a game that you should be playing the way I'm playing it. I believe... Oh, you know what actually happened here is I sent this guy to capture the damn... Or to move away from the damn base again. So we lost this unit. So I guess you have to create more of these guys in order to capture territory. But I, again, have never really done that because I'm bad at video games. So hopefully this guy will find it in his heart to go back and give us this air corridor. Because without that, there we go. We basically just cannot do damage to these enemies without my air support. Sadly, our helicopter has been shot down. But we do have vision on this guy. If I have these... Oh, come on. If we wanted to, we could just like send our airplanes out here and kind of have them like scrambled. But they run out of fuel pretty quickly, which is not that surprising. But we can kind of have them be their own recon in this situation. Or we could just create another reconnaissance helicopter and maybe have it come out here or something. And maybe it'll find some units along the way. So we'll see if we get some vision on these guys. I kind of doubt it, but if it happens, it happens. Our helicopter's going to move out there regardless. We're being shot again, I think. So these guys are going to fly over here. Yep, we're actually losing planes like crazy. Apparently 1 is like crazy now, but we need definitely some vision on them. So I don't want to necessarily just start throwing points away. We kind of lost a lot there, which is unfortunate. We're going to send these planes backwards to see if maybe they can see some enemies. This guy's been stunned, probably because he got hit by a missile barrage or something. Should really probably just send them back to base, but I was hoping that maybe we'd get some vision on the enemy here. Oh, there we go. This is what I was looking for. An opportunity to hit this missile barrage with our own units here. So let's get all these guys and get ready to move them over here. So hopefully we can destroy the enemy anti-air here, which will protect our planes in the future, which is basically borderline goddamn necessary. Otherwise, I'm not going to have much success moving forward. All right, so we did manage to hit the enemy. We've stunned it at least, but it still does exist somewhere in the smoke there. Oh, there it is right there. Yeah, so we're going to send everybody in to kind of hit this guy. We'll send the MiG in as well. Oh, no, it's dead. Beautiful. Okay, so now I feel a little bit more confident maybe moving into enemy territory. So let's start just blob our units here, again, because I'm bad at this game, and start moving them over here. Remember, all we need to do is get like another 1,000 points. The enemy needs to get 2,800. If we tie, and the way that we get a draw is nobody wins, basically, which is just a great metaphor for draws in general. But the way that we get if we get a draw, everyone loses morale and initiative, I think. Or everyone gains morale but loses initiative. I can't remember. Alright, so we're going to have this guy try to attack the anti-air barrage here, which may or may not work out well for us. I want to do some kind of sorties over here. And I think we did just destroy another unit, or at the very least we lost line of sight over it. Yeah, we just lost line of sight. Okay, so we're probably going to get shot down here. Oh, and here enemy planes have been scrambled. So now these guys are worth a ton of points. So we have the potential to possibly do really well here. I think we did shoot one down because we got somewhere in the range of like 130 points there. Beautiful. That's really good. We don't have vision, or we don't have range on these guys yet, unfortunately, but we may in the near future. These like single planes, by the way, are just only good for sorties, like fighting other fighters. I think that's the correct terminology there, which is unfortunate. But, you know, you need those as well to be able to take down the enemy fighters. So they're usually pretty cheap. But if you want to hit ground targets, you need kind of specialized units. I think we're going to win this mission pretty handedly. We actually just shot down another plane totally by accident, which is awesome. And let's start going to town on these units right here. We might start hemorrhaging, you know, ones of our own, start losing those like crazy. But that's okay. Let's take our unit that can actually hit ground targets here and have him come in on this computerized artillery so that our units can hopefully push through here a little bit better in the future. And remember, this is the easy campaign, so just because I'm doing well doesn't necessarily mean the game's easy, and I would feel real bad if you left this video thinking that this was an easy game. There we go, more points for me. Because I want to send the message that it's quite the opposite. I have very positive impressions of Wargame so far, despite barely scratching the surface of what makes this an interesting RTS. That being said, I don't want you to leave this video thinking like, oh, Northern Line recommended it, so I'm going to play it, and then, you know, 4 hours later, you're like, I don't understand what's going on. Be forewarned, I don't know what's going on. I'm playing this game, I played it for, again, like, almost an entire technically work day. I still don't really know what's going on. I barely know enough to succeed a little bit. The computer will kick your ass. The people in multiplayer will just destroy it. They'll tear your cheeks off and, you know, use them as Mickey Mouse ears. That was much darker than I anticipated it would be. But for real, like, this game will kick your ass. And if you're the kind of person who's okay with that, you know, if you are the kind of person who can play MOBAs and have a fun time, even when people are yelling at you and, you know, treating you like pure scum, maybe this is the kind of thing you might be into. My recon helicopter just got shot down. Maybe this is the kind of thing that you might be into. I am that kind of person. I'm the kind of person that can sit there and play a Paradox game and not understand what's going on, but still have a whole lot of fun with it. If you're not that kind of person, if you're the kind of person who just wants to play like a war game casually, Jesus, man, I don't know if you want to get involved in this one. You're going to have an interesting time, shall we say. That being said, I don't think it's totally inaccessible. I don't think the tutorials are good enough at explaining what they need to explain, which is maybe kind of an impolite way to put it, but really, like, the problem with the tutorials is you have to beat the tutorials to get access to the next round of tutorials. And I've failed the tutorials more than one time. So I've only been able to beat like 3 or 4 of the 6 or something tutorials. So I kind of feel like the game is, I'm hamstrung a little bit because I can't actually learn more about the basic mechanics of the game without being better than I already am to begin with. So it's kind of like, wow, you're so bad you can't even beat the tutorials. Well, you're just fucked then. I don't think that's 100% accurate. I don't think that's the philosophy that the developers have. I think maybe it's just designed for a more niche audience that is already more familiar with this kind of stuff, and that's totally cool, man. I'm just not necessarily that guy, so I have to work a little bit harder to understand what's going on. We're gonna win probably with the next unit that we kill, maybe. Can we kill the forward operating base? I'm pretty sure if you kill the enemy's forward operating base, you just get all the points in the world. We should be able to hit it here. Yeah, we can. All right, so let's start shelling the forward operating base. If this dies, we should get a ton of points because this is like really objective based, I guess, or this is an objective. We're gonna send our other fighters out to shoot down this helicopter, and if they have other fighters that they scramble, then we should be able to shoot them down as well. So yeah, again, I'd like to point out this is not traditional campaign system. I really like the way that you can't see it yet, but you will see it after this mission's over. The way you can kind of design your own campaign to accomplish objectives as you see fit is super, super cool and a really interesting way to approach an RTS in almost a sandboxy way, which is really neat. So we're very close to being... there we go. We won. The forward operating base is worth 100 points. That was a, like, pronounced victory. I very rarely have games that go that well, so I'm glad it happened on video. So we got a victory here. You know, we lost 485 points worth of units, but we gained 1575, which is awesome. They gained way more command points, which again comes from capturing territory, I believe. Anyway, we get experience and whatnot as a result of that. Let's exit. So we didn't win the campaign. We won our battle there. And we routed the enemy, which means they're going to have to fall back. That's awesome. If it was a less successful victory, then they might have just stayed there and we might have continued the battle the next day. But since we won very well, they have gone backwards. This, like, blue number for me and red number for them is morale points. I believe that impacts how your units do, like, their disposition during a mission, which affects how they perform. And the yellow points are their initiative, which I believe means, you know, can they move this turn, basically. So they're going to fall backwards into Copenhagen. I would say that's probably the most successful I've ever been on the first level of this mission. I've never beaten this campaign, by the way. And this first campaign does a really good job of introducing you to things. Like, for example, it's like, you know what? You did really well. Maybe you should get some reinforcements here. So we can just reinforce from what I believe is East Germany here. And in doing so, these forces, did I deploy them right here, man? these forces will deploy the next day and kind of we'll be able to get these guys in some kind of pincer attack. So let's just launch this. If I was playing this for real, I probably would have gone straight in on those guys in Copenhagen because I wanted to, you know, hit them where it hurts, basically. But instead, this is an interesting way to do things as well. And this is another thing that I like a lot, is that it's kind of like an alternate history. You know, in real life, nuclear weapons have only been used against targets aggressively twice. Obviously both being in Japan at the end of World War II. But in this one, it's like, you know what? We've really got to take this objective, so we're going to allow you to use tactical nuclear weapons. So we're going to be able to drop a nuclear weapon on this area right here. And then these guys, their morale, as you might expect, is probably going to be decimated. Like, I don't know if you've ever had a nuclear bomb drop on you, but it feels pretty bad. And then we're just going to have both of our units kind of catch this Copenhagen tank regiment in a pincer attack here. And by launching, I guess they're going to come into me here. What are we? We're attacking them with the East German unit, which is interesting. Anyway, what I just want to show off here, I'm not going to actually fight the entirety of this battle, because again, we'll be here for an hour if we go over all of that stuff. But what I do want to point out is that what I was saying at the outset of the last battle, it's really admirable how each of these kind of nationalities has their own units associated with it. That are, as far as I know at least, true to, or they're historically accurate is maybe the best way to put it. That's super awesome. I'm sure if you are a Cold War history nerd, and I mean nerd in the best way possible, because, you know, I'm nerdy in all sorts of ways, and I think that's admirable, then this game is probably totally up your alley. As someone who is, you know, just has a passing knowledge, a very cursory knowledge of what's going on, it's just kind of like flavor on top. It's like the sprinkles, it's not the ice cream, but at the same time, I can see it being really interesting for a lot of people. So we're going to retreat here just because I don't want to necessarily do another battle. We technically were defeated here, which is a shame. Like, this campaign probably takes like 2 to 3 hours to get all the way through if I had to guess. We have to beat it before day 5. Oh yeah, so we have another, we could possibly get into them with this other battle here. But again, we're just going to retreat because I want to kind of exit to the main menu. So we just bumped up against one another, I guess, which is a little strange, and that's fine. Let's exit again once we have the opportunity, probably at 6 a.m. Yeah, it's like 12-hour blocks or something. So escape, exit. I really like this kind of like war computer style interface as well. But let's talk a little bit more about the kind of surrounding factors for Wargame Airland Battle. These are the number of campaigns. You might be looking at this and saying 4 campaigns, like that's really, really short. I don't know if I'd agree with you there, because like I said, this very small campaign, if you fight in 4 battles, each one at 20 minutes, that's about an hour and a half of length when you factor in like planning where to go and stuff like that. So, you know, very small is an hour and a half of length. You can do the math here. We've got long campaigns, medium campaigns, etc., etc. So it would not surprise me if there was at least 10 to 12 hours here if you beat everything on the first time, and unless you are a Wargame veteran, it's probably unlikely that that is going to be the case. Additionally, there's these tutorials. As you can see, difficulty 2 out of 10, apparently insurmountable for me. I should really learn this map control training exercise so I can figure out what's going on. But I really wish just all of these were accessible, because on this one, it's like, hey, you should hide your infantry in buildings because they'll be more effective there. And I was like, cool, I get it. I can do that in a mission, but I can't seem to defeat the enemy. But I think I've learned the lesson, but I haven't proved that I've learned the lesson, which I guess is kind of like the school system. But I really want to learn this lesson of how to control maps. So I think it's kind of a mistake that the game forces you to beat all the tutorials. I almost wish it just kind of gave you a prompt and was like, you know, here's the tooltip, basically. Kind of, again, in the same way that Paradox do things. There's also a skirmish mode. You know, you can play as any of these battle groups, including the Canadians, which is always just, you know, personally nice, because we don't always get a lot of respect in these war games. And, you know, you can play 4 against 4 or 4 against 1 if you want to actually have a chance for victory against the AI. And there's also the multiplayer mode. And what I want to point out here, I'm not actually going to go into the multiplayer mode, but in the multiplayer mode, there is a die-hard community. This is awesome. Normally I do these games and it's like, you know, caveat emptor, buyer beware. They might not get a good online community going with it. So, you know, just be forewarned about that. But here, we got 3,000 players playing this, so, you know, it's already got a good online community, I think, from people who played the European Escalation, the last Wargame game. But what I will say is that, you know, prepare to get your ass kicked unless you're playing with friends at the same time. So, that's pretty... Oh, there's an online campaign as well, which I had no idea. 10 versus 10 also seems totally crazy. In any case, this is Wargame Airland Battle. I believe it is 30 or 40 bucks on Steam. I knew it before I started this, but I've actually forgotten. But yeah, it's in that, you know, kind of like AA price point level where you often find games like this. And I think it seems totally worth it if it looks like this is up your alley and you don't mind getting your ass kicked by a game for a little while, because this will kick your ass. Seriously, if you're a casual RTS level player, it's not micro heavy because everything moves pretty slowly, but it is, you know, tactics heavy, and you got to learn the kind of tactics in the game that actually allow you to be successful, and I have not done that. keep in mind, again, I've played like 5 or 6 hours, so it's been a long time invested in this to still not be very good at it. But at the same time, I like this game a lot. Just, you know, buyer beware, know what you're getting into here, and I think as long as you are cool with that, then you can have a very good time with this. But as always, thanks for watching. I hope you found this video informative and maybe a little bit entertaining, and as always, I will see you next time.